Yo, what is up, you guys? So in today's video, I'm going to talk to you guys about this awesome free PC plugin. It's another Kick VST, so I know I showed you guys one of these earlier in the week. So unfortunately, again, it's a Kick VST for for PCs, so if you have a Mac or anything like that, it's no good. So I'll try to find more videos where, these plugins, these free ones are for Mac and PC, but the added benefit of a PC is just that it has a lot more plugins for it. So and a lot of cool ones. So this is kind of one of those. So I think this is kind of one of my favorite Kick VST that's free, and it's actually I kind of like it more than a few Kick VSTs I bought. Doesn't replace Bassism for me. Bassism is always going to be my favorite go-to Kick making VST, but this one, for being free, it's really great. And the thing I like about it is that whoever made this, you can kind of tell made it for themselves and just happen to sort of just want to share it. So I kind of get that feeling off of it, and it's very functional, and you'll just notice like funny things about it that gives it a very personalized feel about it. So here's what we'll do. I'll play you guys some of the presets from it so you can get an idea of what this thing does, and then I'll just go ahead and make a kick and kind of explain some of the things I like about it, some of its, kind of how to use it a bit. And right off the bat, before I lose some of you guys, the best thing about this thing, in my opinion, is being able to just type in what key you want this in. So if I want to do this, make this key track, or turn off the key track and just play a note, let's say I wanted this to be play a D, I'll just type in D4, and then if I look at the spectrum and let this play, you notice that the top frequency of right here was the D1. And again, if I wanted this to be a F kick, like just because this session's in the key of F, now I'll play it, and now it goes to that. So if you just want to quickly get a really clean kick that's in key, this is really fast way to do it. So I can do these pretty fast in Bassism and Kicksynth and other kick making plugins, but this one's just as easy as just typing in what key you want it in. So I like that. That's my favorite thing about it. So let me show you some of the presets now. So let's go ahead and listen to some of those. Alright, so I gave you a good preview of most of the presets to kind of give you a feel of what most of them are and what they sound like. So one of the things that I guess we should just get right out of the way is this good for making big room kicks like it implies by its clever name? And I don't really think that this alone will give you that generic big room kick, super distorted sound that you're looking for. And the sad truth is, most Kick VSTs, whether they're free or paid for, or the kinds that you have to buy, usually by themselves, just the plugin itself, you're never going to be able to make that big room type kick. Or let's even talk about hardstyle kicks for a second, because most kick VSTs, they're really great at just making the clean kick itself, and then the distortion is just kind of this added thing to it. So usually I mean, this thing has pretty good distortion, especially in the body. You can, distort it here, and you can also do some interesting stuff with the envelope and follow it, and kind of make it distort a lot. So you have a lot of ways to distort this thing, and you have these distortion bands right here that you can set the amount to, and then basic wet and dry sort of thing. But I think the strongest feature about this thing is making snares and hi-hats with this, because if even some of the kick VSTs I bought in, their noise section is kind of just there to be there. It's just like set a frequency, you have a filter, and an amplitude. And in this, you have a nice, clever combination of FM and AM synthesis, and you can, randomize, the noise of all that, and then you can, filter that a bit. You have a decay for the noise, a decay for the overall length of it, and I just think it's really clever for noise. So I think when you heard the snare stuff from the presets, I think some of those were pretty good snares, just for being, made in something like this. And, it's a long way. So I think it's definitely possible to make those big room type kicks with this, but you're going to need some third-party distortion plugins. And if you really want to know how to make a good kick that's distorted, learn how the hardstyle guys make their kicks. If you can make a hardstyle kick, you can make any kind of kick, honestly. And the way they make their kicks is beautiful. And when I was making my kick packs, I totally kind of got into that mindset. I had a session just for making kicks, and it was all 40 tracks of different kick VSTs and distortion racks and things like that. So you really kind of get crazy with making a kick. So making a distorted kick is kind of more a process. So just expecting to just turn a knob, a distortion knob in a kick VST, especially a free one, to make that big room kick sound is kind of unreasonable. So let's just put that to bed, and let's kind of move on. So I think this thing's great for making clean kicks, and I think it is, if you've ever wanted to get into making your own kicks for free, this is a good way to start. And then maybe you can lead yourself into getting the Kicksynth and Bassism as extra tools. But if you get cozy with this, I don't see why you would need anything else. So here's what we'll do. We'll just kind of go through each section. So the way this thing's laid out is you have the sub, the body, the transient, and the noise, hi-hat layers, and then you have a compressor for that. And then you have the distortion up here. And then you just have this kind of funny little color thing. It does nothing to the sound that I can notice. It's really just there to, again, just color the preset the way you want it. So I guess if you wanted to start coloring your presets, you can do that. So again, that's one of the things I mentioned earlier that I like, that this plugin seems like whoever made it for themselves. Just put the things that they would want in a plugin and just kind of shared it. So yeah. And the panic button, I don't know what that does. I don't think it does anything. So I think it's just a panic button to click on for anxiety. So let's just set this. So am I in an initiated patch? I think so. Let's just go to the next one just for whatever. Let's type in a F4. So that way, when I play this on the Spectrum, you can just see that it plays the F1 that I'm looking for. So it's also good to have a Spectrum out. So you notice I have the Ableton Spectrum in the background, and I just pulled it up like this. So it's not in my way, and I can work in the synth and see what's going on in the background. So this is kind of a good workflow with kick making, and then I can quickly see what octaves of the key of F, so I can know which frequencies to start boosting or cutting. So I think 42 hertz is F0. Let me see. Around 44 actually. So, I have the option of, wanting, I could boost at that frequency, or I can start cutting underneath it. So if I just hit the cut, I can start cutting frequencies, around 30, or maybe give it a few hertz before 44, because you don't want to start cutting right at 44. Then you get that gradual slope of cutting. So we'll just kind of boost it a bit. So yeah, let's mute everything else. I think if I'm gonna keep it real, I think each of these sections or layers sound great, but the body's kind of the only one that kind of falls a little bit like short for me. It kind of sounds a little plasticky, but again, I think the sub and the transient and the noise sound fantastic. So I'm just gonna go ahead and shut up and just kind of start making some a kick here, and I'll kind of point out some interesting stuff in each section as I'm going along. So here in the pitch type, we have 10 different types of pitch types. So it's just like like an envelope for how the pitch acts, and then you have the slide here, so you can kind of make it longer or shorter, and then you just have the high frequency, the high knob, so you can just kind of adjust the pitch there. And then you obviously I already talked about this, and then with the sub and body, you have the attack, decay, sustain. Attack, decay, sustain. Okay, I was just making sure I didn't say hold. So yeah, you have those basic 3 right there. And then of course in each layer you have an amplitude knob, and then you'll notice a phase knob in the transient and sub. So, if you kind of need to nudge it a little bit to kind of get in a nice sweet spot, that could definitely work. So then you notice these little M's here to kind of mute it. So let's just go ahead and start working on this. And so it's just as easy as just kind of setting how long you want it, and just, adjusting all of these. So, we're going to get through this pretty quickly. So let's now move on to the body, and we'll just mute the sub. And a few things about the body layer is you have pretty much the same stuff at the top, but then you have this distortion right here that you can apply, and you kind of see that's now slowly adding in, it's kind of blending the sine wave into other waveforms. So the end result is like a square wave, and you can apply distortion with these two. So I kind of like that, it doesn't even, there's no PDF for this. There's no instructions really on how to use this. Some of these parameters you're not going to know what they are, so you just got to use your ears, and I kind of like that. So this is just a distortion section for this, and then, you got stuff like that. And I think the really cool thing about this is also the envelopes. So, you can just drag around and set the curve the way you want it to, but this kind of does the envelope following thing. So this parameter right here will adjust the release of the following with the envelope, and here is how you set the amount. So I'll just play something and I'll adjust this, and you'll be able to see that it's going to follow kind of the kick. So let's just play that. Okay, so now let's add the sub in. So basically, so far so good. Just a very basic, clean kick so far. So let's add in the transient section. So let's just mute everything else and let's listen to the transient by itself. And again, some cool stuff to notice about this. So you can kind of adjust the waveform here so you can get the beginning of a transient to make that your attack. So when it refers to transient, really it's just your attack layer. So you're just going to choose from a waveform and kind of find that transient. So that's a technique that I think a lot of kick makers have always kind of done. They just find specifically sharp transients and kind of just stack that. And I think I have a video on how to make attacks with bottles, where I was just getting bottles and gallons of water and just hitting the tops of them to get a natural transient, and I layer that into kicks, and that's actually in my kicks pack. So if I look for that real quick, it sounds something like this. I don't know if you can even hear those. So that's kind of the thing about those. So actually, let me see if I have one in F real quick. Okay, so let's move on. I kind of sidetracked myself. I just wanted to hear some attacks. So that's kind of the purpose of this. And again, you kind of have an envelope for this as well. So let's just go ahead and mess around with this. I'm just kind of tuning the transient also, so I'm just making sure that it has harmonics in the key of F. So I guess I'm a little OCD when it comes to tuning things, because I always have to make sure everything's tuned to the right key and its octaves and all that. So I think it's a good habit to have, and it really isn't that hard to do. I mean, I'm just kind of tweaking this to the spectrum, so it's not really time consuming at all. All right, so let's move on to the last section, the noise section. So this is actually kind of, like I said, my favorite thing about it is the blend of the FM and AM synthesis and the randomization, and just how much functionality this layer has compared to some other kick VSTs that are really famous and really good sounding, but they just, when it comes to the noise section, it's just kind of an added on thing, and this is kind of more incorporated. So I would hope to see more kick synths kind of make it more complicated like this. So let's just listen to this by itself, and let's mute all the other ones real quick. Play this. So with noise and kicks, I should just say really fast, there's really two types. The long sustaining noise that's always underneath the kick, but that's really mixed down really low. So low volume, long sustain, or long decay. And then the other type is the short decay and loud volume. So you just kind of blend it with the attack. So I think in this case, we'll just go full volume, short decay, and blend it with our transient. Or we could do the other way, which is very low volume, long decay, so it's just always there. So that's kind of really the two ways to go about it. There's obviously some gray area, but generally that's the two types that most people will use. So let's see how we like this. So right there you can see a classic example of really short decay, just barely noticeable, but if you aim B it, you can kind of tell that it helps the attack. So again, let's listen to that. So you can see what that's doing. So that's one way to go about it. And I think we have a basic kick right here. So last things we could do is just apply a little bit of distortion if we want or not. I kind of prefer leaving kicks clean sounding inside of kick VSTs, even bassism. And we'll apply a little bit of this distortion here. And let's just kind of also set the color to blue. Why not? So it's not the fanciest kick ever, but just kind of for showing you guys some basic stuff. Yeah, I think it's a pretty cool VST, and I think you guys should check it out. Of course, I will leave you guys the link down below. So, of course, thanks guys for watching, and of course, lates.